The rusted hulls of Earth's defense fleet cast long shadows across the Helia sector. Admiral Thalia Winter stood at the viewport of her flagship, the supposedly outdated ESS Trickster, watching as her ships maintained their calculated formation. To any observer, they appeared to be relics of a bygone era, their armor pockmarked with supposed battle scars, their weapon systems seemingly primitive and exposed. It was exactly what she wanted the Nexian Empire to believe. "Status report on the quantum masking field," she commanded, her voice steady despite the tension coursing through the bridge. Lieutenant Jensen, her chief technical officer, responded without looking up from his console. "Perfect synchronization across all 23 vessels. Admiral, the Nexians won't detect anything beyond what we want them to see." Thalia allowed herself a small smile. For 3 years, Earth's Defense Command had orchestrated this elaborate deception. While the Nexian Empire expanded across the galaxy, conquering world after world with their supposedly superior technology, humanity had been preparing. The Nexians believed Earth to be a primitive backwater, clinging to outdated technology and refusing to bow to their rule. "Sentinel probes are detecting Nexian warships entering the sector," announced Commander Pierce from his tactical station. "Grand Marshal Krovak's personal fleet, right on schedule." The Nexian Empire's arrogance would be their undoing. Their species, tall humanoids with iridescent skin and crystalline growths along their arms, considered themselves the peak of evolution. Their entire society was built on the premise of technological superiority. They didn't just defeat their enemies, they humiliated them first. "Open a channel to all ships," Thalia ordered. "Radio only. Let's maintain our primitive appearance." The crew suppressed their knowing smiles as she spoke. "All vessels, maintain current positions. Remember your training. We are old. We are weak. We are prey." She paused for effect. "Until we're not." The first Nexian warships emerged from hyperspace, sleek vessels of living metal that pulsed with purple energy. Their design screamed of advanced technology, all sweeping lines and impossible geometries. In contrast, Earth's ships looked like they belonged in a museum. "Incoming transmission from the Nexian flagship," Jensen reported. "They're not even bothering to encrypt it." "Put it through," Thalia commanded, straightening her deliberately worn-looking uniform. The holographic display flickered to life, revealing Grand Marshal Krovak in all his arrogant glory. His crystalline growths glowed with barely contained energy as he surveyed what he believed to be an inferior force. "This is the mighty Earth fleet," he sneered, his translator converting his clicks and whistles into English. "Have you humans no shame, sending such decrepit vessels to face the might of the Nexian Empire?" Thalia played her role perfectly, allowing a hint of fear to enter her voice. "Grand Marshal, we mean no offense. These ships are all we have to defend our home." "Then you have chosen poorly," Krovak declared. "Surrender now, and perhaps we will allow some of your species to serve as manual laborers in our empire. Resist, and we will add your primitive vessels to our collection of conquered civilizations' failures." Thalia made a show of consulting with her officers, their voices carrying across the open channel as they discussed their limited options. Every word, every movement was calculated to reinforce the Nexians' belief in their superiority. We request time to consider your offer," Thalia finally responded, her voice trembling slightly. Krovak's crystalline features twisted into what passed for a smile among his kind. "You have 5 minutes. Though I doubt even your outdated weapons could scratch our shields, I grow tired of this display." The channel closed, and Thalia's demeanor changed instantly. Her eyes hardened, her posture straightened, and she opened a secure quantum channel to her fleet using technology the Nexians couldn't even detect. "All ships, final status check. Quantum masking fields at full power. Phantom drive systems primed. Admiral Blackwood's task force is in position." "Confirmed," Jensen reported. "Task Force Omega is ready to strike from dimensional shadow space. The Nexians won't know what hit them." Thalia checked the countdown timer. 3 minutes until they revealed the truth, that Earth's outdated fleet was actually the most advanced armada ever created. The rusted hulls were constructed of metamaterials that could absorb any energy weapon. The exposed weapon systems were decoys, hiding quantum phase cannons that could bypass any known shield. "Send word to Admiral Blackwood," she ordered. "Operation Hubris is go. Let's show the Nexian Empire why they should have looked past appearances." The trap was set. Now it was time to spring it. Admiral Reese Blackwood watched from the dimensional shadow space as the Nexian fleet fell perfectly into position. His flagship, the ESS Phantom, along with 30 other vessels of Task Force Omega, remained completely undetectable to conventional sensors. The quantum fold technology that allowed them to exist slightly out of phase with normal space was just one of humanity's carefully hidden advances. "All ships reporting ready, Admiral," reported Commander Walsh, her hands dancing over the holographic controls. "Dimensional anchors are stable. We can emerge at your command." The main display showed both fleets, the Nexians' gleaming armada facing what they thought was Earth's obsolete defense force. The arrogance of Grand Marshal Krovac was palpable even across the void of space. His ships had arranged themselves in an attack formation designed to humiliate rather than efficiently destroy their opponents. "Time check," Blackwood requested, his deep voice calm despite the anticipation building on the bridge. "Admiral Winter's deadline expires in 40 seconds, Walsh confirmed. "The Nexians are charging weapons. Their energy signatures suggest they're planning to disable rather than destroy. They want to capture our ships for their trophy rooms." Blackwood allowed himself a grim smile. The Nexian Empire's greatest weakness wasn't their technology. It was their absolute certainty in their own superiority. They never considered that another species might be capable of deception on this scale. "Signal the strike teams," he ordered. "The moment we emerge, I want boarding parties ready. Primary objective remains capturing Grand Marshal Krovac alive. The political impact of this victory needs to be absolute." Lieutenant Rivera, head of Special Operations, acknowledged from his station. "Strike teams are prepped and loaded. Phase suits are charged and ready. The Nexians won't know we're aboard until it's too late." The final seconds ticked away. On the main display, they watched as Krovac's ultimatum expired. The Nexian ships began to move, their weapons powering up with ostentatious displays of energy meant to intimidate their supposedly primitive opponents. "Phase drives at full power," Walsh reported. "Quantum synchronization with Admiral Winter's fleet is locked. We're ready to shatter their illusions." Blackwood opened a channel to his fleet. "All ships, prepare to execute Operation Hubris. Remember your training. We're not just winning a battle today. We're breaking an empire's worth of arrogance." The Nexian ships fired their first volley, a deliberately weak attack meant to disable the Earth vessel's primitive shields. The energy weapons splashed harmlessly against the quantum-masked hulls of Winter's fleet, exactly as planned. "Now," Blackwood commanded. Task Force Omega emerged from dimensional shadow space directly behind the Nexian fleet. The supposedly primitive Earth ships shed their masking fields, revealing sleek vessels of impossible technology. The trap closed like a steel jaw. Multiple Nexian ships attempting emergency maneuvers, Walsh reported with satisfaction. "Their sensors are in chaos trying to process our real capabilities." The ESS Phantom's weapons opened up, firing precise quantum phase beams that bypassed the Nexians' supposedly impenetrable shields completely. Other ships from Task Force Omega did the same, their attacks coordinated with mathematical precision. "Sir, we're detecting power fluctuations across the Nexian fleet," Rivera announced. "Their shield generators are overloading trying to adapt to our weapons. They've never encountered anything like this." Blackwood watched as the carefully choreographed battle unfolded. Admiral Winter's fleet, now revealed in their true glory, pushed forward while his task force prevented retreat. The Nexians, caught between two superior forces, fell into disarray. "Boarding teams, execute," he ordered. "Let's introduce ourselves properly to Grand Marshal Krovec." Throughout the Nexian fleet, specially trained Earth forces in phase suits materialized directly aboard enemy vessels. Their quantum tunneling technology made physical barriers meaningless. The Nexians' internal defenses, designed to repel conventional borders, might as well have been made of paper. Grand Marshal Krovec is attempting to transfer his flag to a faster vessel, Walsh reported. His flagship's engines are charging for emergency translation. "Not today," Blackwood said quietly. "Phantom actual to strike Team Alpha. The Grand Marshal is trying to run. Don't let our guest of honor leave the party early." The battle continued to unfold with precision that would have been beautiful if it wasn't so deadly. Earth ships danced through space with impossible grace, their true technology now unleashed. Nexian vessels, their crews paralyzed by the realization of their mistake, fell one by one to superior tactics and technology. "Sir," Walsh called out, excitement in her voice. "Strike Team Alpha reports success. Grand Marshal Krovec is in custody. They've secured his command bridge." Blackwood nodded in satisfaction. "Signal Admiral Winter. Phase 2 is complete. Time to begin the real education of the Nexian Empire." Commander Dax Hawthorne stood on the bridge of the ESS Revelation, watching as the last vestiges of resistance crumbled among the Nexian fleet. As Chief of Tactical Operations for the combined Earth fleet, he had helped design the strategy that had just shattered the most powerful empire in known space. "Status report on the Nexian Command and Control Network," he called out to his tactical team. "Total collapse, Commander," responded Lieutenant Bishop, her fingers moving across her neural interface console. "Their encryption is failing across all channels. We're picking up hundreds of distress calls and surrender requests." The main view screen showed the aftermath of humanity's reveal. Disabled Nexian ships hung in space, their once proud living metal hulls now scared by weapons they hadn't believed possible. Earth vessels moved among them, like wolves among sheep, their true forms now visible to all. "Signal from the Grand Marshal's captured flagship," Bishop announced. "Admiral Winter is requesting your presence for the demonstration." Hawthorne nodded. This was the moment they had prepared for, not just the military victory, but the psychological one. "Have my shuttle prepared. It's time to show our Nexian friends exactly what they've been missing." The trip to the captured flagship took mere moments, Earth's advanced propulsion systems making a mockery of conventional space travel. Hawthorne found Admiral Winter waiting in what had been Grand Marshal Krovec's private command center. The Nexian leader himself sat under guard, his crystalline growths dulled with shock and humiliation. "Commander Hawthorne," Winter greeted him. "Are we ready to proceed with the technology demonstration?" "Yes, Admiral. All systems are prepared." He turned to address Krovec directly. "Grand Marshal, you're about to understand exactly how complete your misconceptions about Earth have been." Krovec's translator crackled as he responded, his pride still evident despite his defeat. "Your deception changes nothing. You may have won this battle through trickery, but the Nexian Empire—" "The Nexian Empire," Hawthorne interrupted, "is about to learn its place in the greater galaxy." He activated his neural interface, bringing up a holographic display that filled the chamber. "What you're seeing now is a real-time quantum scan of your fleet's technology." The display showed layer after layer of Nexian engineering, breaking down their most advanced systems into component parts. Krovec's crystalline features shifted in what might have been alarm. "Your living metal hulls," Hawthorne continued. "We developed similar technology centuries ago and discarded it as inefficient. Your quantum shield generators, an interesting approach, but fundamentally flawed. Even your faster-than-light drives are based on principles we considered obsolete during our early expansion." "Impossible," Krovec whispered. "Our scientists, our greatest minds, have been working with a fundamental misunderstanding of quantum mechanics," Hawthorne finished. "Your entire civilization is built on a technological foundation that's centuries behind what humanity achieved before we even left our solar system." Admiral Winter stepped forward. We hid our true capabilities not out of fear, Grand Marshal, but because we needed to understand how your empire would behave with perceived power. You've proven to us that you're not ready for real advancement." The holographic display shifted, showing the true capabilities of Earth's fleet. Quantum phase technology that allowed ships to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Weapons that could rewrite the laws of physics in localized areas. Defensive systems that didn't just stop attacks, but rendered them mathematically impossible. "Your empire has conquered dozens of worlds," Hawthorne said, his voice firm but not unkind. "How many of them might have developed into something greater if you hadn't imposed your limited understanding of technology upon them? How many potential allies did you turn into slaves because you couldn't see past your own arrogance?" Krovak's translator fell silent. The Grand Marshal of the Nexian Empire, faced with the truth of his civilization's technological infancy, had no words left. "The terms of surrender are simple," Admiral Winter declared. "The Nexian Empire will release all conquered worlds. You will provide reparations in the form of technological assistance to help them rebuild. And you will accept Earth's oversight as you learn to become responsible members of the galactic community." Hawthorne watched as the message was transmitted across the Nexian fleet. On hundreds of ships, crews watched in stunned silence as their entire worldview crumbled. The myth of Nexian superiority, cultivated over centuries, had been shattered in a single battle. "Your empire doesn't have to end, Grand Marshal," Hawthorne offered. "It just has to change. The question is whether you're capable of learning the humility needed to lead that change." In the aftermath of battle, Grand Marshal Krovak stood before the combined fleet commanders in the Earth flagship's conference chamber. The room's quantum architecture shifted subtly, its walls seamlessly blending advanced technology with elegant design, another reminder of humanity's true capabilities. "The surrender documents have been transmitted to all Nexian worlds," reported Lieutenant Bishop, her neural interface displaying real-time confirmation signals from across the Empire. 87% of planetary governors have already acknowledged receipt and compliance. Admiral Winter nodded, her attention focused on the fallen Empire's leader. "Your people are proving wiser than their leadership, Grand Marshal. They understand the futility of further resistance." Krovak's crystalline growths had dulled to a pale blue, reflecting his diminished status. Yet there was something new in his bearing, the first glimmer of understanding replacing his former arrogance. "We believed ourselves to be the pinnacle of evolution," he said quietly, his translator catching the subtle harmonics of regret in his voice. "Our empire was built on the premise that our technological advancement gave us the right to rule. Now I stand here, understanding for the first time how blind we have been." Commander Hawthorne activated a holographic display, showing the status of the Nexian fleet. Ships that had once been the pride of their empire now floated powerless, their crews coming to terms with their new reality. "It didn't have to be this way," Admiral Blackwood noted, his deep voice carrying across the chamber. "Your civilization has achieved remarkable things, Grand Marshal. Your error wasn't in your accomplishments, but in your assumption that they made you superior to all others." The display shifted, showing dozens of worlds that had fallen under Nexian rule. Each planet represented countless lives affected by the Empire's expansion, cultures suppressed by their arrogant certainty. "What happens now?" Krovak asked, his former pride replaced by genuine uncertainty. Admiral Winter stepped forward, her expression firm but not unkind. "Now you learn what it means to be part of a larger community. Earth will oversee the transition of your empire into a confederation of equal worlds. Your technology will be updated, not to make you dependent on us, but to give you the tools to grow responsibly. And our conquered worlds will be given the choice of independence or continued association with a reformed Nexian government," Hawthorne explained. "We believe in self-determination, Grand Marshal, something your empire should have considered before embarking on its campaign of conquest." The chamber fell silent as Krovak absorbed these terms. Outside the viewport, Earth ships began the process of helping disabled Nexian vessels restore power, not to their weapons, but to essential systems needed for life support and communication. "There is wisdom in humility," Krovik finally said, his translator struggling to convey the complex emotions in his voice. "A lesson we should have learned long ago. Perhaps this defeat will teach us what victory never could." Admiral Winter nodded in approval. "Your understanding is the first step toward your civilization's true advancement. Technology without wisdom is like a weapon without guidance, dangerous to everyone, including its wielder." As if to emphasize her point, the quantum architecture of the room shifted again, revealing the vast expanse of space beyond. Earth ships moved with graceful precision, their advanced technology now openly displayed. Yet there was no arrogance in their actions, no desire to humiliate their defeated foe. "Your empire stretched across 17 sectors of space," Blackwood noted. "Imagine what could be accomplished if all those worlds worked together as equals, sharing knowledge and resources for the benefit of all." Krovik's crystalline features shifted in what might have been the first genuine smile any human had seen from him. "You hide your greatest weapons well, Admiral. Not your ships or your technology, but your capacity to turn enemies into students." "That, Grand Marshal," Winter replied, "is humanity's true strength. We learned long ago that the greatest victory isn't in defeating an enemy, but in transforming them into an ally." As the Earth fleet began the long process of helping the Nexian Empire transition into its new role in the galaxy, the lesson was clear. True power lay not in the ability to dominate others, but in the wisdom to know when to show strength and when to offer guidance. The price of pride had been high, but its payment had opened the door to something greater, the possibility of a future where different civilizations could learn from each other, grow together, and reach for the stars not as conquerors, but as partners in the great adventure of exploration and discovery.